Good morning or afternoon, and welcome everyone to our webinar, Stop Ignoring and Start Automating, How Current Automation Efforts Are Incomplete and How to Rethink Your Approach. A quick introduction. I'm Idalise Baez, a product marketing leader at Itential, and we also have joining us today Anand Sangani, a senior solutions architect. He will be walking you through an Itential demo in real time. But first, let's talk about what we need to do before we can start to leverage automation technologies to manage our networks. We need to understand where the network is today and rethink that approach. We believe that we are moving towards a modern network. What that means is that at the heart of a modern network is the requirement to be programmable first. Programmability traverses the other key elements that define the modern network, such as cloud native, physical when necessary, application and service focused, and open and standardized. The programmability component of the modern network is needed in order to interface with the complex ecosystem of technologies involved in these end-to-end network operations. Prior to this evolution, legacy network management principles such as CLI and scripting were enough to keep businesses up and running. However, traditional methods of managing the network through manual command line interfaces are unable to scale, and they're just not capable of keeping up with the pace of emerging technologies that have come to fruition, such as DevOps principles and various orchestrators and controllers. The modern network requires automation to be successful, and forcing these legacy methodologies for managing your network to fit into this modern world just won't work. As organizations have started their journey of moving from these legacy tools and ways of maintaining their networks, they've run into challenges. One of the most difficult challenges that we've seen organizations face and have to grapple with is a skills gap that has grown between traditional network engineers who understand and know the network and are very familiar and comfortable with their CLI and scripts. But they don't know how to take this network knowledge and apply it to the newly developed programmable world, which heavily relies on those DevOps, agile, software engineering skills. In the end, a consensus has been reached across organizations that the answer to these challenges is automation. And as organizations have started this journey into network automation, they tend to pick a couple of specific network operational tasks. These are the top 10 tasks that we've seen organizations try to tackle first, whether it's from software upgrades to port turnups or configuration management. Today, Anand is going to walk through how Itential has automated a software upgrade. But what most organizations are missing is that while they're focused on the specific execution of these network tasks, this is actually only 8% of their entire upgrade process. They're ignoring the opportunity that they have in front of them to optimize and automate these network activities, which comprise the bulk of the time and resources spent, from planning, scheduling, all of the pre and post checks that are required, and then closing out a request. Diving in a little deeper, we're going to break down this whole end-to-end process of just one typical software upgrade. We can see that there's a large number of people across various groups that are needed in order to accomplish each part of this software upgrade. Each of the resources and transitions between these stages requires an extensive amount of swivel chairing, either between systems or between the various people within the organizations, and having to manually interact with these disparate systems, such as change management, security, inventorying, scheduling, is time-consuming and costly. However, if we can enable network engineers along with IT, security, and DevOps to be able to move towards a self-service policy and automate these interactions and handoffs, a true end-to-end network automation process can be achieved. This is reinforced here with a depiction of a real-world example of a customer software upgrade process. This used to involve a 60-page step-by-step manual which detailed what to do, who to contact, and how to handle errors at each stage of the upgrade. The blue boxes on the left represent the tasks set out in order to complete this upgrade, each of which was executed manually. Itential was able to condense and automate not only the 8%, which consisted of the upgrade itself, but the entire end-to-end process, reducing that 18 hours of manual effort down to 30 minutes. And this resulted in an overall time and cost savings, freeing up resources across the organization so that they could focus on strategic initiatives. I'm now going to hand it over to Anand, who's going to demonstrate how Itential automated this end-to-end process.
Thanks, Elise. So, when first logging into the platform, you're presented with a number of different applications, each offering a specific capability for different automation use cases. For the purposes of today's demo, I'll be showing you how I initiate an automation process from our service catalog. I'm going to be using our active jobs to show you the process as it's running, and briefly talk about our command builder, which allows you to automate a number of checks on the devices before and after the process itself. So let's kick this off by opening the service catalog and find the process we want to kick off. As you can see, the service catalog contains all the automation processes that have been deployed in the platform, and we have a few here in this environment. The system does automatically generate a REST interface for every action that I'm about to perform in the UI. So you have an option to use our user interface or use the APIs to integrate this to your own systems. And either way works, and we've seen use cases where both have been used. This API first approach is really useful for organizations to accomplish their end-to-end automations using their existing tool sets. So let's choose the software upgrade catalog item. So as part of this software upgrade, I need to supply a number of parameters. I need to choose the device that I'm going to upgrade, and I'll do that here. I need to choose the version that I want to upgrade or downgrade to. And in this particular form, I also have the option to bypass the verification stage and bypass a change request approval stage. For now, I'll choose not to bypass these because then I can show you how we can interact with the various systems for change requests. And when I hit submit, this is going to create a new job, which will be an instance of the workflow that we've defined for this process. So let's click into active jobs and see what we have. As you can see, we've got a software upgrade process that's currently running. And if I click into this, we can see that a number of tasks have already been executed. Let's have a visualization of what's taken place so far. So the process at a high level is pretty straightforward. We interact with our IT management system, which in this case is a system called ServiceNow, to create a change request. And it's that IT management system that's going to be used to manage that change request externally. We'll wait for the change request to be approved. We'll perform the actual router upgrade, and then we'll finish the process by closing the CR or creating an incident if there are any failures. By the way, the green tasks on the workflow here, they're things that run automatically. The blue tasks are the ones that require manual intervention, and the purple ones are there just to help the workflow process itself. Okay, so let's take a look at the wait for approval task and let's see what it's waiting for. From here, I can work the task that requires the manual intervention. And as we see here, we're being told that this task will be automatically completed once the change request has been approved. And we have a reference here of the change request number that's been created. And this is the ID that we use in ServiceNow. So if I take a copy of this, and we can put on our IT operations hat and go to ServiceNow and start working the change request. So from this tool, I'm going to find the change request ticket that's been created automatically, and we can see it here. And this process will be different for every organization, but we've created one for the purposes of this demo where the change request requires approval. So I'm going to request for approval. This will send a request down to an individual who needs to say, yes, we're okay to upgrade this router. And we can then choose to implement. Now, when I press implement, the process the process within ServiceNow will be complete, and the transaction will be controlled from Itential. So pressing implement will automatically pass the control back to Itential, and as we can see, we now have more tasks that are running automatically. So let me hit visualize so we can see what's going on. So once again, we're in the top level workflow, but we can see that we're now running the router upgrade sub workflow. So if I drill into this by double clicking, I should be able to see the actual definition of this process. Notice that there are only 2 tasks in this process that are actually responsible for the router upgrade itself. This is the set new version and the reload router. And this is the 8% of the work that most organizations focus on when they look at their work, when they look at their automation initiatives. With the Itential platform, we're able to automate the entire end-to-end process. As you see, we've already created a ticket in a IT management system to initiate that change request process, and within this flow, I'll talk about other things that we've also automated in a minute. Right now, the workflow itself is running a check network traffic sub workflow, and we can see it sitting here waiting. And what it's doing is it's actually checking the network to see if there's any traffic present on this device. So we can see that there's a manual task waiting to be processed called traffic still present. And if we take a look at what's in this task, we can see there's a lot of information here about the fact that there's still traffic running on this device. At this point, the operator can choose to ignore it. They can choose to retry it because traffic may have died, or they can simply acknowledge that they're happy that this is running and the process can continue. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So I'm going to acknowledge this and allow the process to continue. Coming back into the visualization of our workflow, we can see that we've completed a number of tasks, and we're currently waiting on a manual task which gives us a pre and post comparison. We can see that the actual router upgrade has completed, and it's completed successfully because we haven't gone down this red path which evaluates to failure, which would present another manual task. We can see that we've executed a number of post checks, and by the way, we also executed a number of pre-checks prior to running our check network traffic sub workflow. And what the current task will give us is a visual comparison of the results of our pre-checks and the results of our post-checks. So just a quick note on the pre-checks and post-checks, and what are these? The Itential automation platform also contains an application that allows you to create command templates that string together a list of device commands that would previously have been copy and pasted directly into the CLI, where the operator would then have had to manually verify the response that he saw from the CLI was what was expected based on that 60-page document that Idali's previously mentioned. So when I look at what we've done for our router upgrade checks, we executed a number of different commands, and each of these commands had rules that could be used to evaluate success or failure. And these templates could be invoked from the tasks that you see here, and if the command rules pass successfully, then the tasks would complete successfully. And as you can see here, we can evaluate whether the commands completed successfully and redirect the process into a manual path if there are any failures, allowing an operator to go and rectify those and retry. And that's what this dotted red line shows you. Okay, so let's take a look at this manual pre-post comparison. As you can see, we have another task that we need to work, and if I open this, we're presented with a form that displays the results of the pre-checks and the post-checks in a very easy to consume user interface. Now previously, again, operators would have had to sit there and look at what happened before, look at what happened after, and that would take a considerable amount of time and is obviously very error prone. Using a task like this, which incidentally was created by simply dragging and dropping it onto the workflow from a palette of tools that are available, we're able to present to the operator a very simple view of what's happened. And we can see, looking at the minimal diffs, what's taken place during this process very easily and very quickly. As you can see, we've successfully upgraded the version, and we can see that there have been changes taking place between the uptime. So at this point, we're happy that the upgrade has successfully completed, and we can choose to proceed. So now when we go back to our visualization view of our workflow, we can see that the process has completed, and it's completed successfully. We can see that the change request that we submitted to ServiceNow has automatically closed. And if we flip back to ServiceNow, we'll be able to see that the actual ticket has closed. Okay, so just a quick recap. Now, the flow I showed you was one that was created specifically for this demo. And if you remember, it was one that we could have run without any manual intervention. Now remember, the process itself could have been initiated via an API from your existing systems, or we could use the platform in the way that I just showed you today. Now, the actual process that I showed you may not align exactly with what you may do in your organization, but it does show you how you can automate some of the steps that are necessary before and after the actual upgrade of the software on the device. Again, remember, that's only the small part of what we did here. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. Back to you, Elise.
Thanks, Anand. Regardless of where you are within your journey across these silos, from the CLI to automating configuration management, all the way through physical and virtual orchestrations, Itential is here to help you leverage your existing investment and enable your organization to focus on that end-to-end automation, which ultimately needs to traverse all of these operational silos and integrate with all of the necessary external systems and network technologies involved. Itential sits at the intersection of the external IT business systems and the underlying network technologies in order to bridge these two worlds and provide the flexibility to utilize the right tool for the right job at each stage of the entire automation process. Itential is intelligent automation for the modern network. Our network intelligent, purpose-built platform breaks down the barriers between IT and network engineering, enabling users to create reusable end-to-end network automations that span the complex multi-domain ecosystem for maintenance, configuration, services, and policy management in an easy-to-use drag-and-drop environment that scales as you grow. This allows your organization to stop focusing on solely the executions and start automating the entire process. Thank you to everyone for your time today. Hopefully you found this webinar to be insightful and valuable. For any further questions or to learn more, please contact us at the email listed or visit our website. Thank you once again and have a great day.